Hi guys, Mel from Aloha Quails. Today we're making bone broth. So I was going in my freezer and I had no room for meat. Why? Because I had all these bones leftovers. So what I do is every time we cook a chicken or a turkey or a ham, I save the bones for bone broth. Well, I had a whole shelf full with just bones. So I took them all out and we're gonna just make bone broth today and use up all the bones. So I've got here ham bones, some quail bones, and some turkey bones, and some chicken bones. So we're gonna make 3 different kinds of broths today. So the main ingredients in all the broth is onion, garlic, carrot, and celery. Okay, so other people add other stuffs like kale stalks. You can add herbs and spices in it, but for me, I like to keep it as basic as possible. I don't even add salt or pepper because when I use it, that's when I don't want it to impede the flavor of whatever I'm going to use it for. So therefore, I'm not going to add any salt or any pepper or any other herbs or anything. So it's just strictly going to be these 4 main ingredients, the bones and water, and also a little splash of apple cider vinegar. The way I do it is in a crock pot that doesn't have like an electric timer on it or anything. One that can stay on, and I don't have to worry about it automatically turning off. And this is because to make bone broth, it takes at least 2 days. What the main goal is when it's done is when you grab that bone and it crumbles in your hand, and it takes a while. But you'll see that at the end of the video. So we're gonna start here. This one's gonna be my ham stock. This one's gonna be my quail stock. I'm trying something new. I have a tabletop roaster that we use to roast our turkey on Thanksgiving, which frees me up to use the oven for other stuffs like pies and sides. So I roast my turkey in a tabletop roaster. So I thought I'm gonna try and make bone broth in that because it turns on and it stays on for as long as I want. And I have a lot of turkey bones, and the turkey bones are big. So we're gonna try and use that. Okay, so the first one we're gonna work on is our ham stock. So I just put my ham bones in a Ziploc bag, and some of it gets freezer burned, but it's okay because we're not gonna be eating the meat anyway. We just want the flavor. But because ham can be a bit overpowering, I'm gonna throw in 1 roasted chicken carcass in it to kind of mellow it out. So that's the bones for the ham. And then we're going to put in our carrot. Okay, so the carrot, we don't even need to peel it. All we need to do is just break it up. Throw it in. Same thing with the celery. Well, the celery's kind of dirty, so we're going to wash it real quick. So we don't need the dirt in there, but we're just going to break it up into manageable pieces. Okay? Same goes with the onions. So just make sure there's no dirt because you don't want to eat dirt. But okay, so we're just going to cut this up simply in half. Sometimes we do a quarter, but most people just do half, but I do quarter. And then the garlic, cut in half like this, and we just throw it in. Okay, so you notice we threw the peels and all. We didn't peel the carrots or anything. It's because we're just gonna strain it at the end, and we'll just catch all of that stuff. Okay, so that's it. We just got all the vegetables in there and the bones. Now we're just gonna fill it with water. So we're just pouring it in, and we're just filling up the crock pot. Okay, so that was 6 quarts of water. 6 quarts. Okay, so now we're going to cover it and turn it on low. So you just want a very gentle, slow simmer. So we leave it on low. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the quails. Okay guys, so we're moving on to our quail stock now. So these are the spines from the quails when we process them. As you can see, they're not even cooked, but it doesn't really matter. When we process our quail, we butterfly them, so we cut the spine out. And we make sure that there is no innards, guts and stuff, intestines or whatever, on the spine. We make sure it's nice and clean, just the spine and whatever meat. So we're going to throw that in. Then we have some quail that my husband decided to leave in a Ziploc bag, and it got freezer burn. So we're going to throw that in. So that's for stock. At least we're not wasting it. It's going to be used for something. Then we throw in our garlic, celery, onion, and carrots. And our water. Okay, so now we're going to add a splash of our apple cider vinegar. Or 2. And I forgot to put in the ham one. So I'm going to just put it right in. Thank you very much. Oh, that one's a big pot, so get a little more. Okay. And I'm going to turn this on. So I don't know if any of you noticed, but our stove has no knobs. It's because I removed them. So this is a very important tip for you guys. If you're using your stove as extra counter space, because my counter space in my kitchen is very limited. So I learned from experience, don't leave these on, because when you push this back, it hits the knob and it turns on the stove, and then your crock pot on the bottom gets burnt and it starts to cook. So yeah, it's not a good idea. So you take these off, make sure they're off first, pull the knobs out and put them on the side. That way you can't turn the stove on. This is my tabletop roaster. So it comes with the lid like that. Okay, so has this little nifty thing here that Andrew just pointed out that actually holds the cover. Who knew? Okay, so first thing, of course, is putting all our bones inside. So as you can see, they're frozen solid, but it's okay. They're all going to break down. So yeah, when you guys are at home and you're, roasting a chicken, roasting a turkey, whatever, save your bones. Just throw it in a Ziploc bag and just keep adding to that Ziploc bag till it gets full. Then when you have a shelf full, or maybe sooner, maybe 1 Ziploc bag, you can just make 1 crock pot of broth. So here goes the vegetables. This is the onions. The garlic. Because it's a bigger pot, I'm using more. Doubling the onions and the garlic. And this was a small carrot. So, celery. I like to spread them out. That way all the flavor gets equally distributed. I don't know if that's actually true, but that's how I roll. Okay, so now we're going to get the water. Okay, so I've poured 6 quarts in so far. And this is 4, but I don't know if it's going to take it all. Oh, it is. Perfect. That's about this lip is where I wanted it to be. So that's 10 quarts of water. So this is going to make a lot of broth. Okay, so my last ingredient, of course, is a splash of my apple cider vinegar. I'm going to put quite a bit because, that's a big thing. Okay, now I'm going to turn it on. So this roaster, the lowest setting is 150 degrees, but I don't want it to go that high. So I'm going to put it maybe about here. Then in about an hour or so, I'm going to check it and see how hard it's bubbling. And if it's simmering really gentle, I'm going to leave it. Otherwise, I'm going to turn it up or down depending on which way I need to go. Okay, so I'm just going to cover it, and it's going to stay here for 2 to 3 days. We'll see.
Okay, we're back, guys. It's been about 3 days since we put our bone broth into cook. Everything is ready. So the bones that are in the broth are all crumbly. This is a ham bone, and as you can see, it's just breaking apart. It's ready. So the first step, once you've got it to this stage, is to go ahead and strain all the larger particles out of it. So I've got this spider, and all you're going to do is just lift out all the particles. You can see here we have the carrot and the onion, and all of that's broken down. It's all nice and cooked through. We're getting the most nutrients out of that we can. And we're going to go ahead and put that into our strainer over here, and it's got a piece of cheesecloth in it. That's going to catch most of the particles that we don't want in there. So all you're going to do is once you put it in there, you're going to push down on it just a little bit. Just try to get as much moisture out of it as you can. And then you're going to strain out all your other particles as well. So at this point, most of your bones, they're a little bit heavier than the vegetables. They're going to be sitting at the bottom. So you can see there I've got some of the ham bone, I've got some garlic. This stuff is looking really, really cooked through. We're getting as much as we can out of this. So I've got this spider, and all you're going to do is just lift out all the particles. You can see here we have the carrot and the onion, and all of that's broken down. It's all nice and cooked through. We're getting the most nutrients out of that we can. And we're going to go ahead and put that into our strainer over here, and it's got a piece of cheesecloth in it. That's going to catch most of the particles that we don't want in there. So all you're going to do is once you put it in there, you're going to push down on it just a little bit. Just try to get as much moisture out of it as you can. And then you're going to strain out all your other particles as well. So at this point, most of your bones, they're a little bit heavier than the vegetables. They're going to be sitting at the bottom. So you can see there I've got some of the ham bone, I've got some garlic. This stuff is looking really, really cooked through. We're getting as much as we can out of this. And again, once you've got it in there, you can push down. And when you get those bones, when you push down on them, you can hear them cracking and crumbling. That lets you know that you've basically broken down the bone, so there's nothing left in it except the bone itself. So once you've strained out your bones, and once you've strained out the larger particles, you're going to give it a second just to drip through. And once that's happened, you can go ahead and dump the rest of this. So I went ahead and finished straining out all of my solids. There was a large amount in there. We did put a lot of bones in there. As you've seen earlier in the video, it was a lot of bones we had in the freezer. So the next step after you've strained your solids is to go ahead and strain the rest of the liquid. That's going to remove any of the last bits of particles and stuff that's floating in there, little pieces of meat and fat and stuff that's just in there. To do that, the easiest way is to take your crock pot, take a measuring cup, and all you're going to do is just dip the whole thing in, and then you're going to pour it through your cheesecloth nice and slow as not to spill any. And you're going to strain out as much as you can this way before finally pouring out the last part that's in the crock pot. So once you've got the last part that you can get out with your measuring cup, what you're going to go ahead and do is pick up your crock pot and just pour it in. I'm going to get something to hold the pot because it's really hot. Ta-da! And then, ooh. What we're going to do is lift this up and pour it in. I'm going to pour it nice and slow as to not splash. And then carefully we're going to go ahead and lift our cheesecloth and strain it out, taking all of the particles with us. Give it a second just to finish dripping out. And there we go, guys. So how big is this container? 6 quarts. So I got 6 quarts of bone broth out of that. It's an amazing amount. We're going to go ahead, as I said, we're going to go ahead and can this. So we'll show you that in the next video. Before we finish this video, let me go ahead and show you. This is all the bones and all of the vegetables that was in the broth. So you can see that's all broken down. As I said, this is all going to go to our chickens and our ducks. No waste here. This is our broth. So as you can see, it is very, very, very dark. Bone broth just has so much minerals and so much nutrients in it that it's very, very cloudy compared to sort of regular chicken broth you get at the store. That's that kind of milky color, that like translucent. You can see through it. You could never see through this. I mean, this is just really, really dark. It's just got so much flavor and so much nutrients in it that it's totally worth it. So just a real quick recap. We put our meat in, we put our water in, we put our vegetables in, we put it in a crock pot. We left it in there for 3 days until the bones were all cracking and breaking. Then we went ahead and strained it, and then what we're going to do with this is we're going to go ahead and pressure can it so that we can store it for long-term use. So this has been Andrew and Mel for Aloha Quails. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.